All right. Welcome to what I am. I'm I'm working with a this title, but a conversation with bros. It's going to be super informal. You'll just kind of hear what's going on in the mind of Scott Toussaint and me, Aaron Sanchez, as we are working through life. So yeah. Well, welcome, Scott. I appreciate you being on.
I'm grateful to be here, man. And really I think that's a key point. And we're just trying to find our own way through this just like everyone else is. And a lot of the knowledge we share is just we've accumulated knowledge, like some textbook knowledge and course knowledge, but it's from experience. And I think that's important. We're trying to figure our way out as well.
Yeah, yeah. So I can jump right into it. I think over this past, like since the start of the year, like I have discovered some things about myself that I think I've already started to apply to clients. But as far as like managing stress and fatigue and like really seeing the effects of how fatigue and stress can manifest outside of the gym, right? So we start talking about like how many sets per week for this, how many sets per week for that, like splits. You get into like the nitty gritty of things, and like it almost just gets thrown out the window as soon as you like wake up and go to work, or if you have kids or travel or any of that. We have, my wife and I had moved in late 2024. We had some remodeling. I'm trying to keep everything going, and you just recognize like I'm not 24 anymore. I'm 44, and everything is affected like very, very quickly. So, what have you seen in kind of in regards to like what are you doing right now? What split are you doing? What outside activities do you have going on? Like how have you kind of changed over the last, I don't know, 6 months?
I'm gravitating more towards my favorite splits now are full body splits, upper lower splits. Currently, right now in the Lose Fat Get Jacked inner circle, we're following a push pull split. So on the push days, we're hitting chest, shoulders, triceps, and quadriceps. On pull days, back, biceps, hamstrings. So that's what I'm following this month along with the members in the group. And I'm just finding like I've cut my training down to 3 days per week for the most part. I
Mm.
was doing when I got back from vacation mid-February, I for the first 2 weeks I trained 4 days per week, which is nice to get back into the groove with things. But I then since dialed it back to 3 days just seems to suit my body best with weight training when combined with everything else that I've got going on. Yoga, calisthenics, and trying to improve my mobility, my flexibility, cardio, getting in some jogging 3 times per week. So really trying to recognize trying to strike that right balance. And as we were talking about, it comes down to having that heightened sense of awareness and figuring things out. Like, what adjustments do I need to make so I'm recovering well, I'm performing well in all the different things that I want to hit, and I'm thriving in all aspects of life.
It's funny you mentioned that because, yeah, I've found myself over the last month, I ended up getting sick. So I took a week off, and I think I actually came back a little bit too soon because we went out of town. Like I was just trying to get better to be able to go out of town. Like we had my son's first concert. He was super excited, favorite band. I wanted to see family. And of course, I just love training. And so I got back in the gym that I got sick on a Tuesday, ended up taking Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, went back Monday, went back Tuesday. We ended up flying back on that Wednesday. Again, I didn't miss Thursday or Friday. And then Saturday, I went for a run with my wife. And like what should have been like an RPE 3 was like a 25. And I guess ego got the best of me because I like felt it from the very first, like once, as soon as I started, I knew it was like My legs felt like lead. It was just bad. And it was like it never got more comfortable. And that next day, I felt like I was kind of potentially getting sick again, or like I was in the middle phases of it. And it lasted into Monday. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to back off and take Monday off. And I've been running an upper lower split. I think it's like as much as I love full body and I recommend them a lot, I do think they work with if you like have a very busy schedule. I think they're great, but I was like, all right, that week I'm going to run. What I've been finding is like, yeah, I'll just run full body that week. And then this is the first week I've started back with upper lower. Last night I got like 5 hours of sleep because I had a kid wake me up. I had a dog wake me up, and had to get up early. And I was like, it's not even training at this point that's running me down. It's my life. Something has got to give. Which is funny because I wanted to have that conversation with you and like explain more in detail how does that manifest for you? Like how do you know when you're like redlining, you're pushing too hard, and where are you trying to pull back? Is it in training? Is it going to bed earlier? Is it nutrition? Do you not drink alcohol that week? Like, how does that look for you? And then I can kind of go into what that looks like for me.
Sure. And I think it's all such important points that you touched on there with in regards to myself and clients. Like when we're sick, it's trying to find that right balance. Sometimes movement is a good thing. Just getting out, whether it's in the
Mm.
fresh air or getting the blood flowing, it can almost help us maybe recover a little bit faster from a cold, depending on how severe it is. But again, you got to be smart with that and not push it too hard. So there's a kind of fine line of that and like when to take a break. It's difficult to know, and I think it just comes with time, experience,
Mm.
and truly like do I want to go work out for my ego, or is it in my best interest to just let's do something low key right now, just get out for an easy walk outdoors or something like that. So it's tough. It's a tough balance.
What I was gonna say is something you said is like getting out for that nice walk. Like what I'm finding more so than ever, and I'm like one of those, like I can read something and it can make logical sense, but until I experience it, until like it connects, then it I just kind of continue running myself into the ground. And I really figured out that for me at this juncture, like I do think doing something like high intensity is important. For me, that looks like hitting up the air bike. Usually I'll do like, something 15 to 20 minutes, steady state on it. Not too intense, something I can carry on for that 15 or 20 minutes and carry on a conversation. And then I'll usually jump into something where I'm doing maybe, 5 rounds of 2 minutes that are hard, that do make you breathe hard, that make you think like my legs are like, hey, I don't like this, but I can only do that every 7 to 10 days, especially if I'm weight training 4 days a week. And doing a lot of very long distance walking where maybe my heart rate, I'm even concerned with my heart rate. I'm just out in nature, I'm moving, but getting out for a good hour walk always makes a difference to my recovery. And I understand that like you
Mhm.
may not everyone may have an entire hour in their day. Like, I'm sure you deal with a lot of busy clients. Like, my clients have young kids, they have full careers, oftentimes travel. And it's not the end of the world if you can't get out for a sustained hour. But even getting out for 3 10-minute walks, like just getting out, putting the phone down, not worrying about that, and just like letting your mind kind of slow down, then it just I just think that it's incredible for recovery.
Yeah. Oh, there's no question about it. Yeah, especially when dealing if you're starting to feel run down, if you're battling a cold or
Mhm.
something like that. Yeah, to me, I think there's tremendous. I think there's greater benefit to that in most cases than going to the gym per se and getting a workout in there. I think that the important questions we need to ask ourselves is like, am I going to the gym right now because of this fear of missing out? That if I take a few days off from the gym, I'm going to lose all of my gains. I need to hit, I got goals that I want to hit. This is going to set me back if I don't go work out right now. When really what's in your best interest could be taking that time off from the gym, doing something a little bit less strenuous on your body, allowing you to fully get over this
Mhm.
cold or flu or whatever. And then you're going to get back a lot quicker with your full energy and be able to give your workouts the best that you got a lot sooner rather than just kind of half-assing it, forcing yourself through it and dragging that cold on for longer than it needs to be. So again, this checking in with yourself of why you're making the choice that you're doing, and are you actually doing what's going to serve you best right now. We got our lives to build our bodies, improve upon our bodies. I just took a month off. I maybe lost a tiny bit of muscle. It's so hard to say if I did or didn't. I lost a little bit of strength, but I gained it back so quick in the gym. And actually, I
Yeah.
feel so now it's like I'm 4 weeks back from the gym, and I've been checking myself out for the past week here. I'm like, I think this is the best I've ever looked. Like I look fuller now. Like I bounce back so quick, and I do think that that time off served me well while I was away there. So yeah.
Curious if you think that is, I don't know how to word this, but like, do you think if at 35, if you were kind of training the same way you are now with those extended breaks, with like more, like a more serious auto regulation? Because a lot of my training nowadays, like I may have a goal when I go into the gym, or even, when I'm sitting down Sunday, kind of writing out the week. Because if I don't write out when I'm going to work out, then something will replace it. And if you were to do you think now that since you're training a little bit smarter, that allows you to still make gains? So I guess the question is, if you were to go back 20 years, train like how you're training now, being with that mind, not just muscle connection, but body awareness, do you think you could have made more gains? I know you
It's
hate these
such a
theoretical questions.
it's probably it's one of the toughest questions that will never know. There is like knowing what I know now, what I'm feeling now, what I'm experiencing now, and reflecting back on the past. I would love to go back in time and train the way I am right now instead
Mm.
of the way that I did before. Could I have experienced better results? I don't know. I think I would have felt better, but it's interesting. I just shared this in a recent video where, like, at that time, training 6 days per week, an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hour sessions, I could do it. I love the camaraderie with my bros. It's what they
Yeah.
love doing as well. It was my lifestyle. At the time, it's all I was doing. I wasn't doing any cardio. I wasn't doing yoga. I wasn't focused on mobility or anything like that or calisthenics. I loved being in the gym. It was my lifestyle. So I kind of thought, I think I was justifying being in the gym all that time and thinking, well, you know what? I can do this. I'm able to handle it. I'm still increasing strength. I'm still making some progress here. But recognizing now, like I was sore all the time. Like if like I wouldn't train a muscle group when it was sore, but as soon as my chest was stopped being sore, I'd train my chest, but the rest of my body was still sore and
Yeah. Yeah.
recovering. So I was always in a constant state where my body it felt the fatigue, the accumulated fatigue. I always incorporated deloads. I would take weeks off, like a week off when I go on vacation a few times a year. So there was always I'd take a few weeks off throughout the year, like probably 3 to 4 weeks off throughout the year, and some smart deloads in there. But it was still, it was a lot of training volume. It was not enough recovery. There wasn't enough focus on recovery. So I would have loved to see how things would be different if I trained a little bit smarter back then. But at the same time, I mean, I didn't have the mindset for it back then. My mindset was just freaking crush these workouts. Wearing the soreness as a badge of honor and leaving the gym feeling beat down like as a badge of honor, like that's what you need to do. This is what builds great physiques. Everyone else is just kind of being lazy about it. I think it was the wrong mindset, the wrong approach, but it's what I knew at the time. It was based on my experiences, and I still built a respectable physique from it. Yeah, I would have loved to adopted a more well-rounded approach back then, or at least sooner. It would have been better for me. But again, my mindset just wasn't ready for it at the time either.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's important as well. That sometimes like you don't know what you don't know, right? Until you know it. And so, some actionable steps. Like, what are your top three? So we can wrap up that like conversation there on stress. What are your top three stress relieving, kind of like your non-negotiables when you're starting to feel not just sick, but just kind of run down? Like what are two things you kind of start to notice? Maybe is it your sleep, mood, and then what are you doing so that you can recover?
I immediately notice productivity. I think my mental focus and clarity goes out the window when I'm not, when my body and my life, my mind are under stress. And my energy levels start to go down. So mental clarity, mental focus, and energy are most impacted. I just feel like being lazy, and that's just not me. Sleep is
Mm,
always the number one, no matter what, and that's usually when I am most impacted by it. It's usually because something threw off my sleep schedule. Maybe I would drank a little bit of alcohol and that's going to throw things off as well. But yeah, sleep is number one. That's I think going to be the best thing that helps me manage my stress better. And managing stress is the key. I'm like, all right, so why am I so rather than like how do I need to change my lifestyle and my workouts to adapt to the stress of my life? Like, how can I improve, reduce the amount of stress in my life or handle that stress better? Well, I'm better. I think my time is much better spent coping with that stress and getting to the root cause of a lot of people just marinate in the suck and they don't do anything. They're not focused on the solutions to get over that stress. And I think there's a time and place where exercise can help relieve that stress. But yeah, I'd rather just say, all right, why am I stressed right now? What can I do to overcome that stress? And then go from there. If there's stuff that's out of my control, I focus on what is in my control, what I can do about it. And then if I'm still dealing with stress, then a lot of times I will, with my training, I won't train near failure. I may
yeah.
reduce the number of sets that I'm
Mhm.
performing. So I just kind of dial things back just a bit, and just kind of pay attention to how my body's feeling with it. I don't want training to add any more stress to my life. I don't want my
Yeah.
diet to add any more stress to my life. So even with clients, if they know it's just going to be temporary stress they're going through, maybe it's a big work project or something they're dealing with, whatever that is, I may be, and they're trying to lose fat at the same time and they're struggling to lose fat because of a lot of the stress that they're dealing with. I'm like, let's just get ourselves to maintenance level calories here. Let's not stress over hitting a certain goal right now. Let's just kind of maintain, and that's going to help you manage your stress better. Um, and who knows, like while you're maintaining, maybe you'll end up gaining a little bit of muscle throughout the process. Don't put any kind of expectations on it, but just try to keep things level, easy, make things as mindless as possible with you. Get as many things on autopilot as you can. I think the more structure and routine you can be, the easier it's going to be to help you during those stressful times.
Well, something that you said that was interesting, and it's something we've chatted about before, and I think it's been one of the biggest shifts in my training over the last year is putting on as much muscle as humanly possible is your goal. Like maybe training does look a little different, but That's not something you have been chasing. That's not something I have been chasing. I'm not working with people trying to be IFBB pros. People want to feel confident in their clothes, at the beach, in their life. They want to move better. They want to better handle stress. So, do you think that, like, it's almost like my physique has been able to improve, not concerning myself if my training is optimal and just starting to train things I really want to and I want to work on and focus on, whether it's quote unquote functional or whether it's the best exercise for hypertrophy. And have you kind of noticed that, or like, so when you're writing plans, of course you're taking clients, like, what do they want into consideration? But how has your philosophy on that changed? Like, have you had a shift there? And have you noticed like benefits from it?
There's no doubt about it. I used to be very focused on optimizing everything, maximizing gains, optimizing our lifestyle, looking for all the little hacks, diving into all the research and trying to go by the book with everything. And it just, as you and I have talked about in private conversations, it can take the fun out of it all, and you start to lose sight of why you're training in the first place. And I mean, I love lifting weights. I love it. And I have since I was 13 years old. It's been a huge part of my lifestyle, but I'm just focused on living my life to the fullest. I just want to thrive. I want to move my best and feel my best. And I'm more focused on like what do I need to do in order for that to happen. Like just focusing on weight training alone and trying to maximize my muscle gains isn't going to fulfill that desire, that goal that I want to achieve there. It's going to suit an aesthetic goal
Yeah.
for sure. I'll look good. Strength is always a great asset. Muscle is always a great asset. But I've definitely accumulated stiffness, tightness, niggles, all these things over the years that I'm addressing now and feeling so much better because of that. And also throwing in the calisthenics, the handstands, all different hand balancing and version practices. I just like kind of cool athletic stuff that I'm moving my body in a different way. It's strengthening my body in a different way, but I'm just having fun with it. I'm like almost 50 years young, and being able to learn these skills at this stage in life, it's added a new element of fun and challenge to my training. It's like, been lifting for 35 years, you kind of gains, muscle gains, strength gains, all those things start to plateau. Like it's small, takes a long time to realize those gains. Incorporating some of these other fun components, these calisthenic components, flexibility, mobility components, I'm like, well, I can see measurable progress here. And that kind of excites me at the same time. And then I'm looking at, all right, if I want to improve, if I want to learn how to do a handstand push up, what can I do with my weight training sessions that's going to complement that as well? So it's
Yeah.
not an either or. It's really trying to find this hybrid, well-rounded approach that's going to allow me to build my best body, marry all my favorite activities in together, and again, like allow me to thrive, feel my best, and perform my best in everything that I'm doing in life.
Yeah, as again, we've talked about a lot. I don't know if you know this, but we have taken up pickleball over the last year in our household. And I have found like it's so funny. Like I was resistant to starting it because I didn't want it to affect lifting. And like now I think about it and it's like I'm like kicking myself because I'm like, once that kind of starts to occur, that's when I think like anything becomes a negative, right? Unless my goal was to step on stage or try that, even then, I don't think you have to give up what you love doing. It should complement it. But I will admit that, last summer I bought into the hype, like the all of the lengthened exercise stuff and how fatiguing it was. You want to just do things in the contracted position, and like you really have to manage all of that. Like I optimized for that and I became worse for it.
Hmm.
Like I have always been not hypermobile, but had really good flexibility. I guess if you're to compare me to most males, I've I'm pretty flexible, and it's always something I've kind of like prided myself on. I felt good, been able to move and how I wanted and do the things I wanted without those things being an issue. And when I dropped a lot of the more lengthened exercises, I ended up breaking my big toe in two places. And I thought it kind of was like coinciding right around that time where I was giving up these exercises. So I was like, I was legit tight in my hamstrings in ways I've never felt. And I was like, okay, is it my toe? What's going on? Toe healed, kind of continued with that same style of training. And I realized, like, one of my favorite exercises, Romanian deadlift or deficit deadlift. Like, I wanted to learn Jefferson curls, Zercher Jefferson curls, all of those things. Like, I wanted to challenge. And lo and behold, as soon as I started to add those back, I started to move how I previously was. And so it's very easy to get caught up in optimizing and to think there is only one way to progress when there isn't. And it's like, yeah, I could say I'm kicking myself, but as you know, with clients, like you hear something and if you don't have the requisite knowledge, you think that that's just like it. Like it's this way, it's very black and white, and it kind of makes sense, and you want it to make sense. And so I've got a lot more experimental in my training, and I'm better for it. Like my physique, I feel like I have room for growth, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying pushing things that I did when I first started out and exercises I've added back in. And I think I understand a little bit more how to push those things in a way that they're not so fatiguing, but they're only adding benefit. Another thing you had mentioned earlier is you've been lifting, I don't know, I've been lifting 20 years at this point, right? And so, like, how much gains can I genuinely make? And it isn't, I read this the other day, but they're like, the 1%, like 1% better, it's actually not true because the more you become an expert in something, the less room for growth you have. So maybe 15% or like 0.0015% is all you have.
Hmm.
So it's such an, like, it's so little of like your margin for growth that it's not going to be realized in a week or 4 months or 6 months. We're literally talking like a year or years. And so doing other things where you're challenging your mind, you're challenging your body, it makes training fun again. Because if you're just endlessly punching the clock, expecting to just continuously gain muscle month after month, and you're at like a more intermediate, advanced level, like you're gonna give up unless you just really love it.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are guys that do love it. They're training just for the sake of training and hoping to get more gains, but still having fun with it. But yeah, it's a great time in life to, when you know the gains are going to be slower, like where challenge your body in different ways. But most important, do more of, rather than focusing on what so and so influencer says is going to be the best way to build muscle. Like think just like, what do I enjoy doing? What's fun? And then for myself personally, like I've mostly just been doing straight sets with my training. My training is way more, I guess you could say, boring than ever before. I used to love throwing in drop sets and rest pause
Mm,
sets and eight sets of eight and mechanical advantage superset. I used to love doing all of that stuff. Now I'm just finding my body's responding best just sticking with straight sets. And I find like when I do incorporate drop sets, I gotta do it very sparingly because it does have an impact on my fatigue and recovery. But there's clients I have who absolutely love drop sets. Like they need that kind of stimulation, that sense of pushing themselves beyond their breaking point there in order to feel a sense of accomplishment. So because they love it so much, I'm making them well aware that you've got to pay attention to like truly be honest with yourself, with your recovery and the fatigue that you're accumulating from that. So I know how to program as well, make any adjustments to the training. If you really love
sure.
drop sets, it may mean I have to reduce some sets elsewhere, or structure the workout in a way that allows for a drop set at the end where you can create that kind of fatigue and still recover from it. But I think it's important to incorporate those elements of fun and playfulness in your training if that's what keeps you going in the gym. But recognizing that you're doing that more for the fun aspect of it rather than, oh, I've got to do drop sets because that's what's going to make me grow more, when that's
Sure.
likely not the case. Do it for the fun, keeps you in there, but not so much for chasing the growth. And I think any way that you can incorporate, just make things fun is important in this game, not just in the gym, but having an open mind of trying different things. I know I'm into calisthenics right now, but I recall like a few years ago, you were into it before I was. You had the little parallettes there and you were trying to do some hand balancing stuff and going from an L sit, trying to go up to a handstand there. Like, it was cool, and then you dropped that off, you moved on to other things, and there's pickleball, and it's like there's so much for us to do, and I think it's so important to have that open mind. We're just trying to be active, move our bodies in fun ways that challenge us and keep us healthy at the same time. Don't beat us down.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on a lot of great things. I think first and foremost, as coaches, right? Like you have to take what your client, what they want to their available time, and like not everyone wants to train. There are a lot of people who know the benefits and they still find it hard to get to the gym. And putting in some exercises that they enjoy that may not be optimal, but it keeps them going, it keeps them engaged. I think that is more important than always having to do everything like by the book. And I have grown because I've been challenged by clients with their schedule who like they legit just do not have time. They can't be in the gym a long time, but they have hired me to figure that problem out for them.
Mm-hmm.
And it is fun, doing something like whether it just be like two compound exercises, an upper and a lower, and maybe running straight sets there, and then doing a tricep with arms and throwing in like whether it's shoulders or chest or like some sort of walking lunge or squat, whatever it may be. Like they can still get a good workout in, they can still progress towards their goals, and like you can look at that on paper and be like they're not going to become an IFBB pro with that split, but they're not trying to, and they enjoy it and they feel good, and then they feel good and they carry that out into other aspects of their family life and their work life. And that, I think that is just so much more important than it having to be, I would say that it is optimal, right? Because if I tried to program some 5 day a week split for them, when they can only get in the gym 3 days a week and they're missing 2 days every week, then they feel like they failed.
Exactly. You're setting them up for success. It's always best to fit a plan to your lifestyle rather than fit your lifestyle to a plan. It's you're going to set yourself up for success if you're focused on it. I only have so much time. What can I do here? And yeah, it's empowering when you know, like, okay, I can do this, and you're checking boxes off, and you feel that sense of accomplishment. You have a lot more mini victories that you can celebrate along the way, rather than always feeling like, fuck, I've got to do optimal. I got to do optimal, and then you're just always like, fuck, I can never do this. Like, how come
Yeah.
I'm never going to achieve what I want to achieve? You're just, yeah, setting yourself up for failure. And that's just not having fun in the process. Like, it shouldn't be about that. It just work with where you're at right now and know that your life is going to change. Your life is going to
Hmm.
evolve. Your goals will evolve. Like, it's our training. We are just right now talking how our training has evolved over the years based on how we've evolved over the years. So, yeah, there is no one single way to approach this. And I think this is the key with coaching is to have the continuous open dialogue with them. All right, this is a plan that I think will suit your lifestyle, suit your goals, suit your needs that you're going to have fun with, but keep talking with me. Let me know, like, how are you feeling from all of this, and making the necessary adjustments to keep them having fun and progressing in a way that they can with how they're fitting it all into their lifestyle there. So the open dialogue and awareness is key with everything.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That is the coaching, right? That is the check-ins and making sure that kind of even on a week-to-week basis. And I guess we can end with this last thing, but I know it's not a popular, you don't hear many people say it. In fact, like now since I've started my coaching practice, I've like legit only heard one other coach kind of mention this. And maybe I wouldn't advise clients of this because what we're trying to do is get them to create good habits, to learn how to kind of manage your training split and all of that. It takes time. Like it's not some secret that we're trying to hoard, but I, although I'm like running an upper lower split, I can pretty seamlessly jump to a full body 3 times a week, 1 week or 2 weeks, and then jump back in and out and still progressing. Like, I don't think you have to. I think if once you understand the goal of training, what it is you're going after, and how to like how that looks, how that feels in the gym. I don't think you have to run this like split 8 consecutive weeks to get the most out of it. I think if you even if you land in kind of the same ball, like moving from one hinge to a net to another, or just kind of like hitting hamstrings with, let's say 1 week it's seated leg curls and the next you only have dumbbells, and so you're doing straight leg deadlifts. Like, I don't think that is the end of the world, in my opinion. What do you think?
I'm in a I'm in agreement with you there, especially at this stage in the game when the gains are slow. I don't stress over any of that. I enjoy calling audibles. I think at this stage of the game, audibles are probably the most valuable asset to
Mhm.
us. Like, and I think especially if you're thinking to yourself, you know what, this week full body workouts is going to suit me better than the upper lower than I did
Mhm.
last week, and if you still have a lot of the same exercises throughout the plan, you can still progress with those exercises themselves. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. I don't think your body's going to know that I'm doing an upper lower split versus a full body split if you're hitting a
Yeah.
barbell bench press or whatever, for example, like once a week. It's you still got a lot of the basic movements that are going to be in there, and if some of them are slightly different, like, yeah, it's not going to make it's not the end of the world. Like you're saying, it's not going to make or break your gains. Ideally, I think it's great to stick with the plan for a while, but yeah, and before, like, I've gone through I say most of the time when I was lifting, I would change my plan every month. Actually, for the most part, I did body part splits for decades. Body part split was my go-to thing, but I changed the plan each month with some different stuff in there. But I got to a point where I was following a lot of my workout plans for at least 12 weeks, oftentimes 16 weeks, just making subtle little changes, subtle
Yes.
little progressions in there. And I enjoyed that, but now I'm at the point where it's the fun factor, like we're talking about here. I'm like, I enjoy changing a plan every 4 weeks. It's not because I feel like I have to do it. It's just I'm like, you know what? And it's really the reason why I used to change it in the past. After 4 weeks, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready for change. It's just change is
Mm.
good for me. I feel if that spark in enthusiasm is going to cause me to give more of myself to the plan, why not make that change rather than stick with something and continue to try to milk that plan. It's really, again, the same thing. If we're incorporating a lot of the same exercises, it really doesn't fucking matter. We can still progress with those exercises. And I still think it's good to change things up. Either the order of it is going to make a difference. If you're performing a chest supported row as your first exercise compared to the last exercise in your plan, you're not going to have the same kind of strength with it. So progression isn't going to look the same, but it also provides a different kind of stimulus for you as well. Bottom line, fun. I just like to have fun.
All right. So one final question, and then we're gonna get out of here. If you could put on, let's say, 2025, a guaranteed 7 pounds pure muscle, zero fat gain, it was guaranteed you could do that. But you maybe had to drop, I don't know, like calisthenics. Let's say you could still do the yoga, but your calisthenics was just you couldn't do it. Are you going after that 7 pounds, or are you saying no?
Dude.
And you get this is essentially yes or no. Let's go. Just yes. It's a yes or no
Okay.
question.
It's would I do it? I'd say no. I would say no. I can expand on why I would say no. Yeah, I just feel I perform. I look good. I think I look fucking awesome the way I am right now. I'm a lightweight. I'm under 150 pounds. Would adding 7 pounds of muscle change my life? No. Like I already think I look.
Mm,
Would I think I look that much better from 7 more pounds? I think I look great right now. Incorporating the calisthenics is going to improve my body in a variety of ways, and I will have a lot of fun in the process. Likely going to learn new skills through that process. It's going to add that challenge component where I can feel more of a sense of accomplishment and playfulness. So I think overall, like the calisthenics, if keeping that in there meant that I wasn't going to gain that 7 pounds,
yeah.
I would gain so much more from that experience than what I would gain from 7 pounds of extra muscle. I mean, even like it's pretty awesome. I had a great conversation with a young guy in the gym, and it's always impressive when you see some of these younger bros who are kind of grasping these concepts at a younger age. He's this guy, he's a genetic freak. He's just over the past few years that I've seen him training, just getting bigger and bigger. And he's at a point right now where he's lost 20 pounds, like intentionally decreased in size because carrying around that amount of muscle has been challenging on his body. Like he's just not
Yeah.
moving as well. He's not performing as well. He doesn't feel as good as he did at a lighter weight. So yeah, although it was impressive seeing how massive he was getting there. He's like, it didn't feel good to be that big. So muscle isn't everything. That's my 2 cents. How about
Yeah,
you?
like there's yeah, I'm not giving up pickleball to for more muscle. In fact, like that's just one of my superpowers on the court is just my athleticism and my quickness. Yeah, I mean, you it's kind of the same as you. Granted, I don't know. I think this morning I was around 156 pounds, so not too much heavier than you are. And once I start to get into the 160s, especially the upper 160s. it's just life isn't as fun. I don't, whether it's mental or not, that's a huge component of it. I just don't feel like I move my best. And right now, am extremely happy with my physique. And I'm extremely happy with my athleticism. So no, there would be no added benefit there for me.
It's fascinating. And again, I think if we asked ourselves 10, 15 years ago, it probably would have been a different response. So if there's people watching this right now, like, you guys are freaking nuts, I would kill for that extra 7 pounds. Like, it's cool. Again, there's no right or wrong answer, but again, I probably would slap myself silly if I could go back in the past. If my past self said, "Give me that 7 pounds of muscle," be like, dude, like, think of the
Uh,
there's so much more to life than trying to like get as big as freaking possible here.
Possible.
Like, get
Yeah,
big enough. Again, like,
sure.
incorporate all the other stuff. Don't There's a cost to that as well to be aware of.
Absolutely. Well, Scott, it's a great chat. I enjoyed this and I appreciate you being on. For the folks at home, this is going to be a weekly thing where we're just going to be chatting kind of about whatever we have going on that week. But you certainly can comment, leave us your questions. I'm going to drop both of our socials in the description. So until next time, I guess anything you want to say, Scott?
Peace. Live life, have fun.
Live life, have fun.